Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our review of Fate Stay Night. This time we'll be reviewing the Unlimited Blade Works route of the game, or the Rin route, whatever you want to call it. Um, this time I will be going into spoilers. Last time I didn't, for the sake of just it being the first route. So I'm going to do it now because if you went through the first route, it's kind of like the first route really is an introduction to the game. Meanwhile, this one is already, about this stuff. But that means that if you haven't finished Unlimited Blade Works or you want to experience it by yourself, you should probably be aware that there's going to be a few spoilers. With that out of the way, let me just get started. Last time I started out with a little discussion about how I felt about Fate in general before I came in, and my thoughts were basically that, the series seemed interesting, but there's a lot of humor stuff, just like general, like it didn't seem too much of something that I would be into. Too anime, it seemed like kind of dumb. But as I went into the VN, I actually started to really feel like there was a more to it, and the story was actually really well written, at least in this VN. And at least this is the general thing that I felt about Unlimited Blade Works, but from the way that people were always telling me, is that Unlimited Blade Works is really when Fate really comes to being its own thing, right? And I kind of get it. I definitely think it's basically, as I actually stated in my previous review, I felt like the game would be sort of separated into arcs almost, and they would be more of a continuous story than just first route is its own story, the next one is its own story. No, you really need to have gone through the first route to understand what's going on, at least in the VN. I know that in the anime it's a little bit different, so keep in mind that if you're watching this with the anime in mind, there are a few differences in terms of the writing. Well, I definitely think that it came true. This route definitely is not like expecting you to come into it without knowing anything about the first one, which makes sense. It only gets unlocked after you're done with it. But more than that, I'm just surprised at like how blatant some stuff is, because the writing is still really good, but it definitely is like, oh, you already know about this shit. You already know that this happens. You already know that this thing happens. You already know how this works. We don't need to explain this to you, right? And I think it works a lot to the game's favor, because it's basically like telling you, like, don't worry about any of that. That shit, you already learned about it. Consider Shiro already a master at it. And whenever it's something that he really needs to be explained, they really explain it real quick. Like, they don't spend much time talking about each class of the servants and everything like that. They just kind of blaze through all that. In general, those first few days at the beginning definitely feel like they're going way faster. And one of the first things that I noticed about the Unlimited Blade Works route is that the action seemed to be the core focus of this route. Because while I'd say that the first route, it had more stuff of like, okay, we starting out a fight, and then it's broken up by a long section of slice of life, basically, or just Shiro learning to do shit. This one definitely feels like it's like constantly, almost every day has at least something going on in terms of action, right? And I think that's a very good thing actually in this route's favor, because I think that in terms of stakes, this is definitely the route so far. I'm not, this is being spoken literally as I'm about to start the Heaven's Feel route. I'm literally have Fate open and I'm ready to go for it. So I haven't been interacted with it much. But compared to the previous route, this route is definitely way more like stakes, way more fights, and I think that makes it one of the more interesting ones, especially given the theme of like Shiro and is his ideals of saving everyone the correct thing to do, and is it plausible? But I will get more to it. I kind of skipped over this, but going back to it, a lot of people were always telling me that the Unlimited Blade Works route was definitely going to be the one that most people really love, and it's the one because it has a lot about Shiro's actual character. It has the more like cool action pieces. But I'm gonna be honest, reading through this, I feel like that's not exactly my interpretation of it. I mean, it's not, I'd say that it's not my favorite one. Like, it definitely is still good, but I feel like I respect the first route for being more concise and kind of like just explaining stuff. Meanwhile, this route, I felt like a little bit of a, I don't know, it just felt like sometimes it was a little bit too caught up on some stuff that I really didn't care as much about. And from what I hear, the anime is the one that really helped out, making those parts of it a little better. But it's still not terrible or anything like that. In fact, I'm going back and forth between this being my favorite one or Fate being my favorite one. But so far, I'd say that I give more respect to the first route. Maybe when I come back to it to talk about Heaven's Feel, I'll feel different about it. But for now, that's how I've been feeling. In terms of interactions with Rin, I'd say Rin has. I remember you can look in the previous one. I mentioned how I always like between Saber and Rin. I favored Saber because I thought she was cuter, but also I always were like, well, I can't judge Rin too much because she was like, we were in Saber's route, so it's kind of unfair to be like, oh yeah, Saber is cuter, because Rin still isn't in the spotlight, right? However, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I went through this route, I think that that opinion actually stays, and Saber still stays as my favorite, because kind of in a funny way, I really enjoy Rin's like whole like character progression in this route. But Saber is really fucking cute in this route, I'm not gonna lie. And I just enjoy it a lot. So I'm not, I might be biased, but I still am Team Saber here. Sakura, please seek help. Please, girl, you need, Heaven's Feel needs to be the win that for Sakura here. From what I hear, it's not really quite the case, but well, we'll see. Anyway, in terms of characters, I think that it just made me love the characters more that I already did. And some of the characters that I didn't really care as much about, I didn't really change my opinion of them. If anything, it made them worse. Like, I guess I'll get to it. My major issue with this route is the whole caster arc, let's say. Like how Ilya was the main middle of the route villain of Fate Stay Night. In Unlimited Blade Works, I'd say that definitely Caster is taking that role. And I feel like Caster just is a little bit weaker. She doesn't have as much screen presence, which is really funny because in one of the Taiga dojos, they literally talk about this. So I guess they knew. And they just figure like, fuck it, I don't care. But, I mean, there are other characters that really show, like, really shine through this route. I think that, I always fuck up his name, and I'm not gonna look up for it. If I fuck up, I want this to be on the record. Soichiro? Fuck me. Anyway, he's really good. It's the teacher character guy. He's really cool. I kind of feel like he's almost like a joke character in a way where it's like, not that I think he's badly written or anything, but it's almost like comical in a way to see like his antics because it's so unexpected, but it just becomes like a major part of that whole part of the game, right? And I think that Lancer, for the little that he got, he really showed like what he's made of and like how fun he can get, and I really enjoyed it. I am really Team Lancer right now, bro. Assassin is also not half bad, by the way. I think he comes off with like his character really well defined, but I mean, it really does seem to suck for him because it seems like he's going to end up being the servant with the least amount of interaction with the cast. So, rip for him. I wish he got more, but we'll see. We'll see where he goes. Maybe he gets more in Heaven's Feel. I get the vibe that he won't. He really had his chance now that Caster was like in front stage, but he really, besides the real finale where he gets to stop Saber for that moment, which is a really awesome scene and makes him like almost jump to way higher. At least he's higher than Caster in my eyes now. Just kind of a shame, but he is really cool. In terms of like the characters that we already knew, I think Archer definitely got a lot better in this route. I mean, he was already cool, but at the same time, it's like it took away a lot of his mysticism. So he's not as super cool to me, but just by a tad, okay? Gilgamesh, my man, I love him. That guy, I love that he just... I guess this is just a thing that they've been doing, but I like that in every single route it seems like he's gonna be changing out his drip. Like, oh yeah, I mean, new universe, new me, right? I gotta wear something different. And I get that it's supposed to be like, oh, it's because this route he's fighting against Shiro, so of course he's not giving it as much care, right? But I mean, if that was the case, I feel like by the end of the game, when Shiro's fucking curb stomping him, I feel like he would have switched out his outfit. But, I mean, that's really later on. And I will say that I definitely think that that ending was not as striking to me as the Fate Stay Night ending. Because that ending, it almost felt like... It felt like the type of battle that I usually don't like in media, where it's like the main character is getting his ass whooped. They're like losing completely. And then also, like, everyone else is in hell and everyone else is fucked. And then suddenly like a switch comes around and it's just like, oh yeah, wait, I could just curb stomp the enemy instead. It's like, it's fun, but it's not exactly my favorite type. I felt a lot more for Saber and Shiro when they were like equally matched with enemies that seemed to be like around their level. Though not by much, let me say that. I mean, that there's still some of that in the Stay Night ending. But also just having Archer pop in at the end of the battle to like do one last action. I get why he did it, and I get why he can do it because he has like the free action thingy. But still, it's not the most fun, you know. It's like, oh, that's kind of... I wish that was different. I just wish this was done differently because it just felt like it wasn't necessary. Shiro was already seemingly going to win anyway, so I don't see why they added like specifically that. Oh, I get why they wanted to give Rin one last goodbye to Archer and give like a close off to like his whole arc. But still, let me think. What else? Just a little bit of a break from talking about all the story stuff. Let me tell you, if you're looking for, honestly, if I was looking for porn in this route, I would be so disappointed. The Saber route was so much better than this. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm looking for it. It's more so like, holy shit, they really didn't give a fuck. Because it was like, at the very end, there was like the sex scene with Rin. And at the middle, I mean, there's like a little lewd picture of Saber, not Rin. It's like, what? Like, even now, Rin, Saber's still winning. Even though she was not winning in that scene. And I'll say that I think Rin I mean, it makes a little bit of sense. Rin got a picture with Saber in Saber's route, but also there were like scenes where it's like Saber naked, and it was just an ecchi scene, right? And that was none of that. So I feel like if you were a weeb back in whenever this was released, and you're like looking like, ooh, let's see if I Eroges, and then you fucking open up, you get Fate Stay Night, and you get to the second round, I would feel disappointed. But I'm not disappointed because I actually think that some of those scenes were very distracting, so, well, it's good enough. There's also the good ending, which is different from the true ending that you usually get where, you know, Archer comes around and says his goodbyes and shit. Because in this ending, it is literally bullshit. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't have a problem with it because it's literally something tacked in that almost feels like, for those people that really just wanted a good ending to all of this, like nothing bittersweet about this one. You just fucking get everything. More so in the route of like, you wanted to just jack off to the story because Rin loves you, you have a daughter and it's fucking Saber, and you're probably gonna have to have sex with Saber too. Oh well, you're both gonna go to London, and once again, Rip Sakura's gonna have to fucking deal with Shinji for the rest of her life because he's alive, and well, I mean, it just kinda sucks. But, well, and I just find it funny that it's like the way that you unlock it is basically by having both good points with Saber and Rin, so you kind of just have a double Saber route. Saber chance we stay winning. There isn't much else to discuss. I think that's pretty much the main thing that I would mention about this route. I still really like the characters. I still really like, especially my man, Issei. I really wish he did more. I will comment, however, on I do believe that the art for this was really impressive. I really loved some of the set pieces they had for this round in particular. I think that that's definitely where it launches off from the first route. And I guess going forward, I will like name this here. I want Heaven's Field to really be the one where it goes fucking weird, okay? And that might be the case, that might not be the case, but like considering how little Sakura got in these routes, I just hope that that's what happens. So yeah, right now, Unlimited Blade works. I really like it. I really like it. It's just that it's just gonna be me parroting shit that I said in the last review. Really good writing, really good art, really good music. So, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it in the previous one, but the music's really good. Just really good characters, but definitely done differently. It didn't feel like we were like retreading on old ground too much. It just felt like every now and then it could feel like, oh wow, alright, this happens. Let's get to the stuff that is new to this route. But even then, I'm still not tired of this. Honestly, Fate is such like a fucking drain of my time. I can't help but love it and like keep reading it, but at the same time, I just want it to kind of be over so I can move on to other things. Because even though it's really fun, it really is like a lot of stuff. Again, the whole time aspect of this series, of this VN is the main part that I would complain about it. But that's barely anything. So I see you all next time, hopefully for the Heaven's Field route. I've been your judge, jury, and executioner, and Unlimited Blade works. That was all my chant, baby. Ding, 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 ding.